Great intro. I love the new intro. What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the scorecard, the boxing scorecard, where I ask people to bring your scorecard and an explanation, not just simply your opinion. In a different location, as you can see here today, I got a little get a little business meeting and after this. So, anyways, if there's a little bit of extra background noise, I apologize ahead of time. But still had to get this through. All right, let's get right to it. Last night we had the big heavyweight championship of the world. Oh, actually, sorry, skipping ahead. Don't forget, I'm here every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Canadian Eastern Time. You can't catch the show live. You can catch it on any podcast available. Um, yeah, make sure you leave you like, subscribe, share, and leave some comments so we could interact live. All right, let's get right to it. The Super Heavyweight Championship of the World was last night. The rematch, part two. Let's get to the slides now. With Mr. Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. I love. I had to start off with this first picture here because this was a perfect example of their both their characters going into this fight. Oleksandr Usyk. Let's get to their stats first. Oleksandr Usyk is let me pull up his. No, I'll start with Anthony Joshua first. I like to pronounce their full names and everything. So Anthony Joshua, pronounced Anthony Olowafemi Olasemi Joshua, turned pro in 2013 after his gold medal in 2012 Olympics, which he did very good. Turned pro after that. His record is 24 wins, 22 knockouts with 3 losses now. And Oleksandr Usyk, yeah, I do my best to pronounce their names properly, but his name is actually spelled in Ukrainian, so I can't even. It's not even English letters. But yeah, he is 35 years old. Anthony Joshua is 32. Usyk is 35 years old. He also turned pro in 2013 after his gold medal in the 2012 Olympics. All right, all right, all right. We can switch it up now. Oh, we already got the comments coming in. Good morning, David Chase. I will get to your comments in just 1 second after I get through the quick intro here. Um, as you can see by the tail of the tape, not too much of an age difference in between them. The reach and height, the weight and height was the big thing. Anthony Joshua has about, it doesn't say there, but Anthony Joshua has about a 20 to 30 pound weight difference on Usyk. And the way Usyk fought was just perfect. I honestly believe that. Well, let's get to how the results of the fight. It was a split decision win for Oleksandr Usyk. One judge had it 115, 113 for Anthony Joshua. Another judge had it 115 to 113 for Usyk, and another judge had it exactly what I scored it, which was 116 to 112 for Oleksandr Usyk. And I'll go through my scorecard in a second. And just to confirm, I didn't post this on any social media, but I did predict the how this fight would go. This is from the chat here, as you can see. Look in the blue, Usyk by split decision. Joshua's offense will be better with his new coach, but not his defense. And at just at the bottom, just to confirm, good call, Cedric Sports. What I said, first of all, let's go through the details of it. Usyk is one of the most underrated boxers in the sport of boxing. Um, the reason why I say that is because not too many people talk about him, but maybe it's because he doesn't speak English. He's not on social media that much, but his boxing skills speak for themselves. I compared Oleksandr Usyk to Evander Holyfield a long time ago. A lot of people thought I was crazy by making this comparison. Evander Holyfield is regarded as one of the greatest boxers of ever, especially of the heavyweight division, of the golden era, as they say in the 90s. The reason why I compare him to Evander Holyfield is because they have the exact same career. They're both started off as smaller guys in the amateur level. They both won a gold medal at the light heavyweight division. He's either light heavyweight or right underneath heavyweight. They turned professional they turned pro in the cruiserweight division, cleaned out the cruiserweight division. I know it's not a heavy division, but Evander Holyfield cleaned out that division, and then moved up to heavyweight. And that's the exact same thing that Usyk did. Cleaned out the cruiserweight division and then moved up to heavyweight, where every single fight he is the smaller guy. Um, and you know what? Let me before the comments get too backed up. Let me get to the chats first. You had it, David Chase. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming in. I had it 9-3 in the early rounds. For the early rounds were competitive, but Usyk mostly always had the edge, landing more effective punches overall. Joshua was not busy enough and got out hustled for most of the part. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly what I thought too. I'll go through my scorecard in a second after I go through these comments. Because Usyk's southpaw jab footwork defense had him befuddled and tentative. Yeah, man, Usyk's skills are very underrated, man. People don't talk about him. He should be on everyone's pound for pound list. Chris Peters, good morning. You had it 116 to 112 Usyk. Despite losing, I think if AJ comes back and Fury and Usyk walk into the sunset after their possible fight, he probably rule the division again in a couple of years as is. See, that's another thing. I'm going to talk about that in a second when after I talk about my scorecard. But you know, someone brought up this point. What's with getting the belt and just simply retiring? What happened to the days of everyone, fighting all the up and comers or whoever it was to defending your belt? It's not just simply winning it and retiring, but we'll talk about that after. Chris Peters also added, as his performance was good, I thought it as good as it could be. What for AJ? Yeah. I think Chris Peters also added in, you had it 115 for Usyk was possible, but 115 for Joshua was not. Yeah. I'll go through my card in a second, but I only give Joshua a couple of rounds. So you won money then? Hey, no, I didn't bet. I need to start, dude. I need to start the bet though. My man Nick Leishman, good morning. 116 to 112 for Usyk for me. Yeah, that's where I had it, despite losing. Oh yeah, I already read that. Of years of performance as good as I thought it could be. Well, why am I reading this twice? My man Noel, what up? What up? First time in the chat. What up? 8 rounds to 4 for Joshua. Joshua won an extra round in the rematch for me. Joshua, despite having more success, still hasn't learned to use his size. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second too. His tactics seem to be just to work the body more to slow Usyk down and use more head movement. He isn't so easy to counter when he attacks. Yes. Thank you very much for your comments, though. I'll address those exact things right after I give my scorecard. So, I had it 116 to 112 for Usyk. My exact round comments for each round. Round 1, gave it to Usyk. He was just simply more active. It was a close round. It kind of looked like the beginning of the first fight. The second and third round, I gave to Joshua. Second round, Joshua controlled a little bit more of the action. Joshua was busier, and his punches looked a little bit more effective, simply because he weighed 30 pounds heavier than his opponent. Round 3, like I said, also gave it to Joshua. He landed cleaner and more effective, also because of the size. In that third round, he was really using his size in a smart way, landing clean, and using his size appropriately. A lot of people were saying before the fight, he shouldn't try to outbox that. He should just use his size. But it's not just simply doing that. You still have to use some type of boxing skills. You can go on to the next slides now. Some type of boxing skills to get to your opponent. Round four up until round 4, 5, and 6, and 7, I gave to Usyk. Round 4, I believe he controlled the action. Usyk landed more, was landing more multiple left hands crosses. Usyk is a southpaw. He was landing a lot more left hands. Round 5, I thought Usyk dominated the round. I thought it was just clear for Usyk. Round 6, controlled the action. Usyk Not dominating, but he's winning. He's winning. He was winning these. He was winning the rounds. Not dominating, but he definitely was winning. Round 8, round 8 I gave to Joshua. Just landed cleaner and more effective because of his size. Round 9 was Anthony Joshua's best fight out of both rounds. Best round out of both fights. He clearly won that ninth round. That was his best round out of both those fights versus Usyk. However, this shows Usyk's greatness. He came back. He came back in that 10th round, like as if the ninth round didn't happen, and straight dominated the 10th round. Round 11, Usyk's jab is just great. His countering is greatness too, especially as the shorter guy. I'll give my details on that in a second. And round 12 was just clear for Usyk. You know, we got another comment here. My man Noel says, but he still hasn't learned to use his lead hand to control a smaller, faster opponent. Never used his body weight up close to lean on Usyk, apart from last round when he was tired and falling into. Yeah, you're right. In that last round when he was leaning into him, that wasn't like an educated lean, like how Tyson Fury knows how to use his body weight to lean on someone. That was just an exhaustion lean. Noel, the way Vlad or Lewis and Fury use their size, Joshua lacks in his arsenal, and it's why he'll never beat Usyk, and why he's also couldn't deal with Ruiz Jr. up close. Yeah. Certain things are hard for the big guy versus the smaller guy. Both smaller, faster men, when allowed to let their hands go in range, battered him. Yeah. Thank you for your educated comment, man. I could tell you really follow the sport, Noel. So, this guy Usyk, man. These past 2 fights that Usyk had against Anthony Joshua, I honestly believe were a masterclass in how a smaller guy is supposed to fight a bigger guy. Specifically, what I mean is, this is more evident in the heavyweight division where there's no weight limit. You can have a 30, 40, 50 pound weight difference. Anything over, I believe it's 205. You know what I'm saying? There's no weight limit after that. No weight limit after that. But there's a specific way. Now, this specific strategy for a small guy to beat a bigger guy can be used in any weight class. Especially you have to use it in the heavyweight division. But even in the smaller weight classes, there's only about 10-pound difference. But you can use this strategy, for example, if you're a smaller guy fighting a KO artist, someone that's undefeated with all knockouts, and you have to be very careful and very cautious, not cautious, but smart while you're facing this person. This is the strategy that you need to use. This is exactly what Usyk did. The 2-second rule, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 points that I'm going to talk about real quick. First of all, the 2-second rule. You never want to stand in front of your opponent for more than 2 seconds. Now, obviously, you're not going to stand there and count 1, 2, but ideally, easiest ways to remember this is just whatever you're throwing, whatever hand you finish with, you're going to move over to that side. So if you finish with your left hand, move to your left. If you finish with your right hand, move over to your right. Easiest way to remember the 2-second rule. Either with your upper body or with your lower body. The second one is random head movement. Random head movement, which you do not just with your head. You can do it with your upper body, using your core to lean back and moving in all types of directions, or keeping your upper body a little bit more stationary and using your legs, bending your legs to duck under, slip to the side, lean back. Obviously, in both cases, you're still using your upper body and lower body, but it's a little bit more of one or the other, depending on what you're doing. The third one is having an educated jab. And of course, you guys hear me repeat this all the time, but this is even more important if you're the shorter fighter fighting a taller boxer. A taller boxer who knows how to use their reach. You guys don't forget, people call Anthony Joshua crazy for trying to box Usyk, but Anthony Joshua won a gold medal at the Olympics too. So he's not just like a random heavyweight hard puncher. He does know how to box. Obviously, as you see, there's levels to this, And Usyk definitely showed that there's levels to this, but Anthony Joshua is definitely a good boxer. The reason why I bring that up is because his strategy of using his size, of what I was talking about, having an educated jab. As the taller person, he did land a couple of good jabs, but they weren't all accurate. And they weren't all thrown at the right time. Usyk, being the shorter fighter, which means he has the shorter reach. Had to move his he had to move even more efficiently with his in and out movement or his lateral movement to land his offense. So Usyk's educated jab was definitely the major factor in both guys' boxing skills there. Number four, number four was not number four was not throwing bombs, but still throwing respectable power. As the shorter guy, when you're moving, and like I said, this is not just for heavyweights where it's the biggest difference, but even in the shorter weight classes, if you're, you guys still weigh the same, but some guys just simply punch harder than others. So if you're the boxer, that's the not the hard puncher. What you want to try to do is not to throw. You don't have to throw power because that guy is not gonna feel it that much. Especially, I apologize. This is more if you're moving up a weight class. If you're moving up a weight class where your skills have to be up to par or your power have to be up to par. If your power is not up there, then your skills have to be up there. You don't have to have one punch knockout power, but you have to have respectable enough power that your opponent won't just simply walk you down. And so that's why AJ didn't. That's why Anthony Joshua didn't just simply walk him down, because he knew. Because Usyk still, I don't know his exact weight. Can someone put in the chat both guys' weights, please? Can someone find both guys' weights as I'm talking? Because Usyk, his punches did not have as much effect on Joshua, but they did have enough effect for Joshua not to just simply not respect Usyk and walk him down. All right, and the fifth one was probably just as important. All these are important, but the fifth one is you can't do any of the other ones without this fifth one, and that's having exceptional cardio. Exceptional cardio. If you're the smaller guy fighting a bigger guy or the harder puncher, you have to in order to do those four other things that I said before, implement the 2-second rule, never standing in front of your opponent for more than 2 seconds, having random head movement, which requires more upper body movement or lower body movement, whichever one you want to use more, having an educated jab, which means using it more with that educated jab, not throwing bombs, but still having respectable power, which means you have to throw more, not much, but you have to throw more, which takes more cardio. So all four of those things there takes exceptional cardio, and that's exactly what Oleksandr Usyk had last night, and that's exactly the formula for a smaller guy to beat a bigger guy. Yeah, man, this was simply a masterclass. Any boxers out there, specifically any southpaw boxers, if you again, and this is not just, I'll just stop right now because I already repeated myself a couple times. Smaller guy fighting a bigger guy, masterclass. Study both of these fights, not just this fight, the first one too. Moving on to Mr. Joshua. I predicted this before the fight too. I said his offense, he switched coaches. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Wait, let me get to a few of these comments here before I go off on Mr. Joshua. Paul Cullen, good morning. Maybe AJ should have had a couple of fights under new coach before a rematch with Usyk, probably against Chisora and Dylan White. AJ will definitely lift the belts again. He's still young. Yes, I agree with that. He's only 32 years old. He definitely has time to come back and do his thing. Definitely has time to come back and do his thing. Mr. Nick Leishman comes in 117 for 111 for Usyk. Kind of bizarre in that although overall I thought that Joshua did better than last time and it was a bit more competitive, I had it wider this time because I scored Usyk winning more rounds. Yeah, I see that. I mean, Anthony Joshua only had one dominant round, and that was round 9. Any other rounds that anybody gave to Joshua, they were close rounds. Like they could have still went either way. Round 9 was the only like clear round for Joshua. That was a bit closer, but he still won them in a few of them, negating some of AJ's best work. Talking about Usyk, yeah. So, Oleksandr Usyk weighed 100 kg. So 100 kilograms, that's like what, like 208 or something like that. 208, 210, something like that. And Anthony Joshua was 111 kilograms. So that's about 230, right? Yeah. So yeah, like I said, about 25 pound difference. Um, so yeah, I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and one of the things that bothers me as a coach, being a coach, it kind of bothers me when I hear about a pro boxer. They go through their whole career having all this success. They get one or two losses and then fire their coach. It has to be the coach's fault when the coach is the one that was there helping them get to that height of success. And in some cases, it might be true. Whatever, we're not in the gym. We don't know what personal relationship people have. Sorry for the extra background music here. We don't know what personal relationship a coach and a boxer have, but it just kind of bothers me when a boxer, specifically boxers that are undefeated and doing very successful, not just an average boxer, but boxers that are undefeated, doing very successful for a good amount of time, one or two step backs, and all of a sudden it's the coach's fault. They need to fire the coach, when instead of taking more accountability and responsibility on themselves for what they could have done better and been, what they could have done better. So that was the case here. So Anthony Joshua decided to fire after his last loss, decided to fire his coach and hire Robert Garcia, who's a very good coach. His brother is Mikey Garcia, who had just recently retired, a very good career himself. Robert Garcia has coached for a few years now. His biggest fighters were Marcos Maidana. When Maidana fought Mayweather for those two fights and gave Mayweather a competitive fight, Robert Garcia was his coach. So he does have experience at the top level, but it's exactly what I said was going to happen. I said Anthony Joshua's offense will be better. Yeah, his offense will be better, but his defense will not be better, because the way that Usyk was touching him up, and I specifically use the word like touching him up because it weren't, like I said, they weren't like power shots. Anthony Joshua, his eyes were a little bit swollen, but it wasn't that much. So like he was literally just touching him up with shots and doing his thing. But it was enough to prevent Anthony Joshua just from walking him down. So he didn't need a coach. I don't think Anthony Joshua needed to switch coaches to, like, what he did last night. He didn't need a new coach to do what he did last night. He didn't need a new coach to do that. He needed a new coach to help his defense get better. If his defense would have been better to make Usyk miss, to make him block, or to simply make him miss, that would have gave him more confidence to come forward, and then his offense would have been even more better. Because again, the success that Anthony Joshua had in the early rounds, you can see the little bit of difference that Robert Garcia, his new coach, gave him. Anthony Joshua was going to the body a little bit more, and just in general, like, it wasn't anything that really stood out, but he just landed a little bit better. He was a little bit more aggressive, which is what leading up to the fight, his new coach, Robert Garcia, said in multiple interviews that's what he wanted. He said, I want Anthony Joshua to be more aggressive, to get more mean. And that's what told me, okay, aggressive, mean, those are offensive things. Being more aggressive and more mean. What are you going to do to avoid those things happening to you? So I don't know, man. Again, he's only 32 years old. He's still young enough to change things around. I hope he's not going to be one of these guys that bounces from coach to coach. I don't know. If I was him, I'd go back to, I don't know, go back to his old coach and just tell them we need to just focus on defense. Because again, what he did last night, he looked a little bit better. You know, my man Nick Leishman said himself, even though Joshua looked better and it was more competitive, you know, he still had a wider score than the first one. So I mean, he needs a coach for it to apply better defense, and that comes in training. Multiple ways to do this, whether you're shadow boxing, sometimes just shadow boxing. Here's your educational boxing moment of the week. I'm gonna try to do that every week and give an educational moment for what the fighter needs to do. 3 ways to improve your defense. Number 1 with shadow boxing, simply doing a round of only defense. You know, shadow boxing is fun for most people because, in general, because you learn the punching part. Boxing in general, if you ask somebody if they want to box, they think about the fun part, like learning how to punch and learning, how to knock people out or whatever. Nobody thinks about that stuff, avoiding that part. So anyways, I don't want to get too off track. 3 ways to improve your defense. Shadow boxing, do a round of shadow boxing, only your defense. You can do another round of specifically counter punching. You can break up that defense too. Shadow box, 1 round, like just slipping punches. Do another round of ducking under, using your legs to duck under. Another round of just simply blocking, the 5 blocks to the side, to the body, and then closing the door. On the bag, same thing. Just apply those things on the bag, and then on sparring, which is the number 1 way to improve your skills for your next competition. Little things. The number 1 way, what I like to do with my boxers, the ones that are better in skill, that have more experience, I'll take the newer ones. Okay, I guess I see some new ones coming in. I'll take the newer ones, and the ones like some of them that are national champions, I'll say to the novice boxers, they can throw all their punches they want, and the more experienced boxer can't throw anything. They can only throw their defense. Then once the novice boxers get a little bit better, I'll let them throw their jab. They can add their jab, and then you slowly apply it from there. They can add 2 punches, and then going from there. So those are your 3 ways to improve your defense during training. Shadow boxing, only defense. Do a couple of rounds of only defense and counter punching on the bag. The same thing that you're shadow boxing, apply that on the bag with the counter punching. And then in sparring, take a boxer that is not as experienced and let them throw all their punches at the experienced boxer, so they can work on their defense. Maybe let the even though they're a novice boxer, let them wear bigger gloves, since they have the advantage of not having any punches thrown back at them. Let me get to a few comments that I missed here. Tracy Snowden, thank you for coming in. Good morning. Good morning. Defense is a strong 60% of a fight if you know how to switch it up with different types of evasive movements, set up moves for attack. 100%. Thank you for that comment. Defense is my number 1 thing. Like I said, offense, it's easy to get better at offense because that's the fun part of boxing. The hard part is avoiding that part. So yeah, you're 100% right, Tracy. And I believe this is your first time in the comment section, so thank you. My man Zev, he slept in for the fight. It's all good. You can just rewind this scorecard here and get all the action. What else we got? Oh yes. So as far as Anthony Joshua improving, at 32 years old, someone would say, some might say, he's too old to learn new tricks. Now, here's the thing. At 32 years old, yes, athletically, you're not gonna really do anything new at 32 years old. That's when you start to decline in your physical, your physical prime. So at 32, Anthony Joshua was 32 years old, so he's not gonna learn anything new athletically. But what he can learn is to use his brain more and be more smarter. So not learn new actions, but learn how to better apply those actions, when to apply those actions in a fight. That's what he can still improve on. And hey, man, you guys know how much I emphasize defense. Um, I'm sure there's other coaches that emphasize defense. I don't know as much as me though, but hey, I got a gym he can come to. All right, what else we got? No comments. What are the scorecards? What other scorecards we got? Scorecards or comments? Any questions? Where do we go from here between the two fighters? You can bring the slides back to the beginning and run them back. By the time you get back to the beginning, maybe just switch them up every like 30 seconds or something like that. Where do we go from here? Here, I'm gonna make a clear statement right now, and I know there's not too many people that will agree with me on this. I honestly believe Oleksandr Usyk will beat Tyson Fury. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it. The skills, man, the skills. If you want to compare their skill level, I definitely think Usyk has a better skill level than Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's skill level is mainly from his size. Um, there's not too many. There's not too many. There's not too many. Not too many. You can count on one hand how many guys that are 6'9", almost 300 pounds, and that are athletic like Tyson Fury. So I believe Tyson Fury's it's more of his athleticism being that size, not his skills. Yes, yes, yes. I was gonna get to that in a second too. You talked about the top rank card. I'm gonna get back to that. I was just talking about what's next for Usyk and Fury. I just got Navi's asking about the top rank card. Navarrete fought last night. Yeah, he won. He looked a little. He had some time off, so he looked a little bit. Had a little bit of ring rust in there. But Navarrete, he's someone that so unorthodox in his punches, very unorthodox in his punches, and so it's hard to adjust to him because they're all power punches he throws, power punches from different angles. Navarrete, and that's at the 135-pound division. No, that's lower. That's like 126. All right, back to Usyk and Fury. What I was saying about Usyk and Fury. I honestly believe Usyk's skills can take out Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury definitely has the height, and against Tyson Fury's two biggest wins. Tyson Fury's two biggest wins were against Klitschko, one of the Klitschko brothers, and Deontay Wilder. In both of those fights, he superiorly outboxed those guys, and that's why people believe that for those two fights, people are calling Tyson Fury the best. He probably is the best. You can't even call him the best fighter, the best heavyweight the best heavyweight of this generation. He hasn't even fought. The best heavyweight he fought was Deontay Wilder. And we'll get to that in a second, where we rank Deontay Wilder. But anyways, I'm picking Usyk over Fury just with the skills alone. WBC Boxing salute. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. What are your comments about the Anthony Joshua fight? What did you score it, or if you didn't score it, what's your educated opinion? For those of you, if you I always tell people don't just bring your opinion. If you didn't get a chance to score the fight, at least give me your educated opinion, all right? Don't just say someone sucks. Tell me the exact reason why you believe something. Paul Cullen, what up, what up? My nephew Thomas Cardi was in camp with AJ in England. He's a southpaw. He couldn't go to camp in Saudi as he had a fight in Belfast 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, his opponent pulled out of the fight. Yeah, man, that happens sometimes, and that's the unfortunate part of the fight. Thomas told me that AJ definitely improved from last time they sparred. Yeah. Now here's the question though: what part of him improved? Did his offense improve, or did his defense improve? because as I said before, I already predicted it for his offense to be improving with Robert Garcia, and even with that being said, I don't think he needed to change coaches to do what he did last night. He needed a new coach to get his defense better, which I don't think it was. So both. He said his offense and defense was better. Okay, well, um, okay, but I guess sparring's a little bit different than the real deal. And when you're fighting Oleksandr Usyk, who's not just the best heavyweight, but one of the best boxers in the whole sport of boxing. And I said it again, I believe he's underrated. Um, I believe he's underrated because you know, in these days where social media runs you, runs everyone to get your name out there. He doesn't speak English and he's not on social media a lot. He doesn't really do a lot of interviews. So not a lot of people know who he is unless you really pay attention to the sport. So he kind of flies under the radar. But people that know. If you know, you know. Shout out to Pusha T's album. Shout out, if you know, you know. Oleksandr Usyk, one of the best boxers in the whole sport of boxing. And now, with that being said, he is 35 years old, right? He's 35 years old, so he's at that age where he's at the age where your athleticism, you still have your brain, you still have your smarts on what to do and when to do it, but the application of those things are a little bit different because your physical capabilities are a little bit different when you're 35 years old, 35, 36 years old. So with that being said, at the beginning, I kind of complained saying that, because he said, if he doesn't fight Tyson Fury, he's done. He's just going to retire. I kind of wish he would fight the other guys. The same thing I said about Fury. How is Tyson Fury going to, I mean, you can retire whenever you want. I'm not saying you forcing guys to stay in there. You can retire early if you want to. You can't call yourself, the best, even the best of this generation if you haven't fought the top 5 guys, at least the top 3 guys of this generation. And yes, he only fought one top guy of this generation, and I don't count Klitschko as this generation. Why? Because Klitschko was 39 years old with gray hair. Okay, when Tyson Fury, again, another rant for another day. People like to pick apart people's resumes. They're a boxer that they don't like. They like to pick apart their resume and say, well, this person wasn't really good when they fought each other and this and that. Klitschko was 39 years old with gray hair. Okay, now 39 years old in real life is not old, but 39 years old in athlete life is old. Okay, which is why it's amazing LeBron is doing what he's doing right now at 37 years old. Again, my bad, just for going off topic. So what I was going at is don't forget Wilder. Yes, what I was saying, I'm not sure if you got what I said. I said Wilder Tyson Fury only fought one great heavyweight of this generation. Klitschko is not from this generation. Klitschko's prime was in the early 2000s when he fought Lewis and Chris Bird and the great heavyweights. Tell me Klitschko's best wins. Klitschko's best wins were in the early 2000s. Now, what are people going to try to say to try to defend that? They're going to try to say he was on an 11-year win streak. Really? You know why they have to mention 11-year win streak? Because they can't mention anybody that he fought. Because, not disrespecting, but they were C-level competitors. That's why none of those fights were even on TV. Just think about that. Klitschko, the super heavyweight champion of the world, and much respect to his career. I'm just using him as an example for this Tyson Fury, people putting Tyson Fury on this pedestal. Anyways, Klitschko, his prime was in the early 2000s. At 39 years old with gray hair, I do not think you can consider him one of the top guys from this generation. Deontay Wilder was probably the second or third best guy in this generation. So that, and he had a trilogy with Deontay Wilder. I still think it would be a good fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Like I don't think Tyson Fury just simply walks through Anthony Joshua. I definitely don't think he walked through Usyk. I think Usyk beats Tyson Fury. And I think Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury would be a competitive fight. Like, I don't understand how people just think Tyson Fury would just walk through Anthony Joshua. Like, there's a reason why, like, the two fights with Wilder ended in knockout. They were still competitive fights. That last fight, yeah, Wilder got knocked out. Fury almost got knocked out himself too, twice. That's why people consider that it was in one of the best fights of the year. My man WB Boxing says AJ did improve, but I find he still lacks recognizing in-fight adjustments. The corner can only do so much for you. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. Those in-fight adjustments, the fighter, because the 60 seconds you have in between rounds, you only get so much instructions you can do and so much thinking that the boxing can do in between. The in-fight adjustments, Mayweather probably did the best out of anyone. That stuff comes with experience, experience and adjusting small things in training camp, like your defense. AJ against anybody will always be competitive. Yes, exactly, man. That's why I say, I don't think people should be so quick just to say Tyson Fury is the best boxer of this generation, because the AJ fight would be competitive, the Usyk fight would be competitive. Yeah, man. So hopefully he comes back. And hopefully we get those fights. Paul Cullen comes in. Fury suits AJ more than Usyk. 50-50 fights. Fury suits AJ more than Usyk. Suit, I'm assuming, means compares to AJ, like would be more competitive to AJ, more than AJ to Usyk. 50-50 fights. I'm assuming that's the word suits mean. You know what I mean? That reminds me too. Here on the Talkin' Fight YouTube channel, we got listeners from around the world. What up, Trace? So can people in the chat just let me know where you're from, whether it's Canada, the States, the UK, Africa, Japan, wherever you're at. Just put in the chat where you're from, starting from now on, just so we can see how expanding our audience is. So, wow, I've been talking for over 40 minutes again. I never expect to talk for this long. Well, there you have it. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in once again every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Canadian Eastern Time. If you can't catch the show live, you can catch it on any podcast available. My man Paul Cullen calling from Dublin, Ireland. Shout out to Dublin, Ireland. Thank you very much for tuning in. Where's everybody else from? Yeah, man. Who we got next week? I'm not sure we got, but I will be back. Thank you, everyone in the comment. Let's do a quick roll call in the comment section. Much respect to David Chase. Much respect to my man Noel chiming in for the first time. Much respect to Nick Leishman. Much respect to Chris Peters. Much respect to Paul Cullen from Dublin, Ireland. Much respect to the host. Much respect to Eric. Thank you very much. Much respect to Tracy Snowden. I believe this was your first time chiming in. I believe. Much respect to Zev. You missed the fight, but thank you for still tuning in. Much respect to WB Boxing. And yeah. Toronto, pass through the Weight in Boxing podcast. The Weigh in Boxing podcast. I love those guys. Those guys. I wasn't at their last show. They just did a show with my boys with the Talkin' Fight Network. My boys Mike Orr and Eric at the Atlas Boxing show. So yeah, man. Yeah, we gotta hook up. help our channels grow, help boxing grow in general. All right, man, hit me up at Cedric Sports on any social media. CEDRIC Sports. All right, man. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.